2020 was a semi shit show.
It was a little bit crazy.
It was scary.
2020 was a unique.
2020 was like boarding a roller coaster that doesn't stop.
It wasn't amazingly fun. I could tell you that much.
Oh boy, 2020 was unbelievable. I mean, I really couldn't believe that this was going to happen, and I was always optimistic that it wouldn't. And then when they shut all the jobs down, it was pretty clear.
It's concerning to my whole industry. So we have a whole crew that these people, this is what they've done since they're 18, and now they're in their 50s, they're professionals.
I mean, we started it with the initial COVID shutdowns, which I think left all of us pretty anxious.
We were shut down for a couple of months, being in the manufacturing sector, and it was tough.
As soon as we had the shutdown, we're like, this is not just going to be a 1 month deal or 2 months. We're like, let's plan for the next 6 months as best we can. Every week there was a new, something was going to change. We're like, what do we do this week? It's like, there's no use making decisions that are too long lasting. It's more like, okay, how do we stay nimble and adaptable?
The word that comes to mind is managing. Just managing a lot of change.
Well, 2020 was perhaps the most unique world that any of us has ever experienced.
One of the things that was funny is that at first people kind of liked working from home because it was like novel, and I liked it because I was still in the office alone, so I got to be here by myself. And then people just got really sick of it, and were just like really looking forward to coming back. So in some ways it's sort of a positive thing because people are like realizing they actually like to be around each other.
I miss not having my staff in the office, and I miss team meetings.
I really miss just seeing all the wonderful people we work with face to face on a more day-to-day basis.
When we come up with a challenge and do it shoulder to shoulder and figuring it out, just on the ground basically, and I miss that.
For sure, it's designing in person. That with other people in the office and especially with clients. And there's something about the spontaneity of sketching together, modeling together that I'm just really looking forward to coming back.
It's hard to replace, the human interaction, those short meetings, those brief interactions. I think I miss those the most.
Obviously, we miss our friends and family and seeing everyone firsthand.
For me, I really miss, being able to shake somebody's hand.
I miss being around. I got to hug my daughter one time this summer because she had a test done, and she got the test back, and I just went, okay, I need a hug. And then you can't do it again for a while.
It feels very isolating, and I think that's what I miss the most, is just being with people and enjoying and celebrating life together.
I think when this all ends, there's just going to be a resurgence of that joy, that depth of connection to community that I think is going to be a little crazy for a while. I think I'm going to be hugging everybody inside.
But I do think the plus side of it is that I've gotten to reach out and spend more time with old friends through Zoom meetings and things like that. And it's been really great to rekindle some friendships that were there, but this definitely brought them back up and connected with people in different ways. And I like that.
Never had before in my life had used Zoom for any sort of meetings. That was a learning. That was a bright spot. Learned something new every day.
Gotten to know myself even better.
Yeah.
I've learned to talk to myself a lot more.
Probably gotten more productive in 1 week than I would have in the past gotten done in a month, which is just amazing.
Because I have been able to spend a little more time closer to home and getting out in nature, which is kind of an inspiration for me in terms of design.
I think we've gotten a better understanding of what our priorities are, what's really important.
I think found out how strong our staff is.
It's been really fantastic to see how the culture of the office is indomitable.
I learned that we're very resourceful and we're able to work remotely. If the will is there, you can. I would have never predicted that we could have been as effective as we are as a unit, a team, and we're doing just great. We're communicating well, and that is remarkable.
Well, we've learned some new skills for sure.
Yeah, we've adapted, I think, along with everybody else, finding new ways of communicating and sharing information. And I think it's made us a little bit more efficient on our time. And we're spending less time in the car and less time in meetings. And so that leaves more time for design.
It's helped us figure out how not to take things for granted. It's helped us figure out how to communicate better as a team.
I have gained a feeling that we're all in this together, and that if we try to respond in radically different ways, our best chance of getting out of this is to try to work together to the same goals.
If anything that's come out of this for me, it's realizing how easy I have it, really, and how grateful, how I should live in a better state of gratitude than I do.
That I think it also makes you appreciate what you do have, and it's something that I think kind of changes people's perspectives about hopefully 2021 and what to appreciate.
Well, I think I'm gonna sit on the curb by my house and just put a sign out that says free hugs, and anybody can come by and hug people.
I'm really looking forward to getting the vaccine. That's going to be that'll be a big. I'm going to have a nice bottle of wine that night.
I will be very happy when the whole office is back together. That will, I get a lot of satisfaction out of that.
I think just the social interaction. You really, I don't think we all truly appreciated how much of our life was absorbed by that social interaction.
Being together in a house with our girls, I'm looking forward to that.
Community, having our friends and family around and being able to interact and hug and kiss and be together. I think that's mainly what we're looking toward.
It gives me hope for the future, just seeing how people are embracing coming together as people, as humans, as team members, as community members, and that just is not going to go away.
Oh, I have so much hope. I have so much hope for humanity and for mostly for this community. I mean, bring it down to the Pacific Northwest. We're people that think ahead and think forward and are always one foot in front of the other and looking out for one another. And that gives me great hope.
On a local level, I've seen people coming together and being cool and keeping the space and trying to keep positive through this thing.
I think we're headed for a more loving, more peaceful place to be, and I'm excited for that.
I think seeing the camaraderie between people in certain areas has been really promising, and I hope that continues next year. But I definitely have hope that 2021 is going to be a good year.
I see these young kids and young professionals and how conscious they are about everything.
I really feel like my kids and the younger generation are really giving me quite a lot of hope.
I would say the younger generation, I feel that there are a lot of young people whose values are really solid, and I think that that's going to make just a huge difference as to how the world goes.
Well, I think it's really, this is a great opportunity to look at life for people and planet, and for, how do we really improve and make some big changes.
I think that 2020 has been a lot of things we didn't expect, and so re-energizes the optimism, the hope that we can come back better, smarter.
I'm hoping for that. That's what I'm hopeful for, is that we all kind of just gain a better understanding of ourselves and a clearer picture of what's going to make the world a better place, and we're gonna roll up our sleeves and we're gonna get to work.
It makes me happy to go to work and feel like I've done something good. When at the end of the day, I can look back. Keep doing the best work you can do.
The challenge of trying to make the world a better place through design and through everything that we do, it really does make a huge difference. Our lives and all the endless hours of work that we all put in, really does make a difference in the world.
Mine's a little dark, but I'm gonna tell it anyway, because obviously it doesn't have to be used. But so our dad used to he's not really into Christmas and just thinks it's all
capitalism and frivolous.
Yeah, and so but of course as little kids, Christmas and a Christmas tree, and so we would just pester for a Christmas tree every year, and so one year he's like, "You want a tree? I'll get you a tree." So we went outside, and actually we used to just keep all of our old dead Christmas trees down the hill on our parents' property. And so he went out there and grabbed one of the old dead trees with no needles on it, and he thinking that he was going to freak us out, but it turned out that we were so excited about the idea of decorating this dead Christmas tree that it actually turned out to be
It was really nice, actually, because we didn't put lights on it because it was a fire hazard, but we made a light ring at the bottom, and it illuminated it.
And we used all dry things on it.
It was avant-garde, amazing Christmas tree.
So I grew up in the Northwest, and this is a little bit of a unique thing, I suppose. My parents were in a 4-wheel drive club, right? So there's an organization out there, I'm sure they still exist, the Pacific Northwest 4-Wheel Drive Association. And we were in the Western Washington Bronco Busters. And so it started out people would just plan a trip somewhere in Washington State, and you just go out into the wilderness and drive these trails and stuff like that. And I remember going to into the woods, into the snow. I don't know why we had to be into the snow. I remember Broncos being stuck and tires whizzing and things flying. But going to get a tree like that was. Going to get the Christmas tree like that was I thought that was fantastic. Just cold and wet, but as a memory, it's much warmer, right? So I thought that was good.
Oh, as you can see behind me, every year I put up a live tree that's always a noble fir, and that's just such a wonderful ritual because, it's 35 years of a collection of ornaments that gets revisited. Arthur and I will do a lot of cooking. But it's just the two of us. We're not having people in because we're just being very cautious. But we just put up the tree last Sunday, and that was really fun. And the ornaments are all different. They're not very serious at all. So, there's donuts and sushi and lots of schnauzers and hamburgers and all kinds of things. So that always brings a smile to my face.
We went and got a beautiful noble fir, and Annie, my daughter Annie, chose the tree while we were looking at trees, and it's a beautiful tree. And I was a little bit embarrassed when we got home because we stood it up, and all of a sudden I realized it had this really beautiful kink in it. And I thought, wow, for being a landscape architect, you kind of should have noticed that thing isn't straight. But it turned out to be a gorgeous tree, and Annie named it Gertie. So Gertie is our Christmas tree. And we were talking about Gertie the other night, and Annie said to me, she said, hey, my teacher, Frank's wife, Jennifer Gundarius, was talking to her class the other day that Annie's in and saying, well, Annie, what kind of tree did you get this year? Because I remember when your mom and dad used to go and cut Charlie Brown trees from the yard, and you'd put an ornament on it and it would drop to the ground. And we just laughed because those were the most amazing trees of our Christmases. And Annie and Claire to this day still love the memory of those trees. And you know, that a 6-foot Douglas fir maybe had 4 or 5 whorls of branches on it, and you could maybe get a dozen ornaments on it, and it would look like it was so sad because it was drooping to the ground. But we just laughed in memory of those beautiful times of going out into the yard fir, and now how we've got this beautiful Gertie, and just thinking about how we kind of look at our tree as something unique and something that's a reflection of us, and that it's not perfect, but it's beautiful.
But when the girls were small, you know, I mean, it was the best, you know, the Santa Claus was real, and you know, we'd get on the NORAD Santa tracker thing.
Oh, yeah, we're familiar.
And I still do it now the girls are grown. I'm like, hey girls, you know, Santa Claus is in Africa now. And I go, Dad, well, I'm just telling you, you better get to bed as soon as he gets to like Nebraska.
I don't know. For me, the childhood memories, I think it's when you make the snowman and you don't calculate that sometimes that middle section gets too big to be able to move and actually put on the second part of the base of the snowman. So I can remember as a kid, I just didn't calculate well. So you end up with a snowman and then this big giant ball left over somewhere in the yard that takes till spring to melt.
That's when you knew it was a future in architecture, not engineering, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And not the contracting part either. Exactly. That I can think it up, but I can't build it.
You know, I think for me, growing up, it's just the fond memories of being in my mom's little house in the north of England with both sets of grandparents and my brothers, and just sitting around and having a good meal and having a drink, and you know, those very English of traditions of you know, listening to the Queen's speech, things like that. So that's kind of what I'm. That's kind of what I hold closest to my heart, really, when it comes to Christmases, and because a lot of those grandparents aren't with us anymore.
When my oldest son, Sean, was a kid, I was actually just talking to Brian in our office about that the other day. I had an annual tradition of going up into the Cascades with my friend Steve, who was a landscape architect at Jones & Jones and happened to be a next door neighbor up on Finney Ridge. And we would take these 2 little kids who are, you know, starting at age of 2, and put them in backpacks and take them up into the Cascades with snowshoes and the old kind of World War II wool army pants and the whole bit, and go deep into the woods and, you know, knee to thigh deep snow, you know, find the best silver firs we could, cut them down, rope them up and drag them back a couple miles back to this amazing old VW van that my buddy had. And there was just something about the van, the kids, the cutting of the tree, just the sights and the smells and all that stuff. And then, you know, coming home and putting them up. So anyway, I've done that almost every year with my kids, and in fact just did it in the Olympics last weekend with my youngest son, Max, and had him actually with a friend use a wood axe to chop down a fairly big Douglas fir tree that ended up not fitting into the house. We had to cut the bottom off, but it was a heck of a good time.
You have, was there a year you got the Red Ryder BB gun, or the famous a family that you really enjoy? Or
so the one that seared into my memory, we're sitting around the dining room table with the heirloom lace embroidered tablecloth, and as party favors, someone, I think my mom, had given us little battery powered wood burning kits. Like it's a little thing about, let's see, that big, battery powered, and you put your initials on the bottom. And so of course I tried it out on my napkin, my paper napkin, and it burned my initials JD through the napkin and into the family heirloom lace tablecloth and the dining room table. So the joke ever since then is that's my inheritance, is the lace dining room tablecloth with my initials on it.
Yeah. No, one of my favorites is really kind of a practical joke. I mean, well, going back as a kid, my parents were, they were every Christmas Eve, our big thing was we would kind of we'd get a game, and there'd be a game the whole family could play. And I'll never forget the first year my mom decided to switch that up, and she decided to give everybody a pair of pajamas for Christmas Eve. And it was an absolute revolt.
Every single Christmas Eve, my mom would forget her purse as we were on our way to our grandparents, and she would go back in, and mysteriously Santa Claus had come later that night. And as a kid, you never pick up on the fact that your mom forgot her purse, and it takes her 15 minutes to get her purse every Christmas Eve, because we would open presents on Christmas Eve. So I miss the blissful unawareness of childhood sometimes.